Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. I have an update to share about a couple of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So you guys all remember Pauline Bauer. She's everyone's favorite sovereign citizen, and she's been in jail since September of last year because she refused to acknowledge that the court has jurisdiction over her. Well, she's made several attempts to get out of jail, all of which have been slapped down, and Bauer has so far refused all of the plea deals that they've offered her. So her judge, unfortunately, is Trevor McFadden, who I've complained about ad nauseum. And he finally set a trial date. Bauer's case will go before a jury on July 5th, and she's still acting as her own attorney. Also, both Bauer and her standby attorney have filed a motion to dismiss the most serious charges against her, the felony charge of obstructing an official proceeding. So Judge McFadden hasn't ruled on that matter yet. So far, the majority of the judges have refused to dismiss that charge. But then again, this is Trump lover McFadden we're talking about, so we'll see. But this trial should be fun, and I will, of course, give you guys a play-by-play. The next clown in this circus is Brandon Fellows. Fellows is the guy who was ordered, or one of the guys who was ordered to take a mental health exam. He's also representing himself in court. He's also the guy, you might recall, who was still living in a converted school bus after 4 years of Trump as president. And for some reason, he thought Trump should get another term. Anyway, Fellows recently filed a new 32-page motion with the court. This was a couple months ago in honor of Black History Month. And no, for anyone listening on the podcast who can't see his photo, Fellows is not a Black man. But in his filing, he told the judge, quote, "I'd like to make this portion of my motion festive in light of Black History Month to show you how correlated our treatment really is. And of course, concede on some clear differences. After all, not only does history tend to repeat itself, but few ever truly learn from it. It's Black History Month, and there's a lot to learn from it. I find these deprivations, discriminations, and unequal treatments to have strong correlations to what my Black brothers suffered under the racist Democrats after the abolition of slavery, thanks to Republican Abraham Lincoln, up until the Brown versus Board of Education decision, which the Democrats also hated." But wait, it gets worse. It gets a lot worse, I promise. Fellows goes on to write, quote, "I'm not MLK, but I too speak out about these abuses from the Democratic city-run jail in Washington, D.C., just as MLK did from the Democratic city jail of Birmingham, Alabama. Even my Black brothers in Montgomery were able to attend church, have clergy, attend school, go to a barber, and see their families, even if they were segregated. Therefore, I argued to you that as least in these areas, we have it worse than the Black population did in 1950s Montgomery. I told you it would get worse. So Fellows believes that after taking part in an attempted coup at the United States Capitol and trying to overturn an election through violent, illegal action, he and his January 6th buddies have it worse than Black people who did absolutely nothing wrong. They just happen to have been born with more melanin in their skin. And for that, for just being born with darker skin, they were kept segregated from the rest of the population. They were treated with disdain, often beaten to death, lynched, and accused of crimes that they didn't commit. They had their property stolen from them. They refused the right to vote. They were refused the right to get a home loan, so much more. I could go on and on. But sure, Brandon, yeah, you've got it worse. And oh, by the way, it's a historical fact that I'm sure he's ignorant of, that the party's platforms completely switched and that the racists left the Democratic Party when they started to change, and that the Republicans were the ones who picked up those racists. And then they ran their Southern strategy to try to convince voters that all of their problems were because of people of color. That was not Democrats. That was Nixon. That was Barry Goldwater and his ilk. But I guess, if you get all of your political and historical quote unquote facts from TikTok and Facebook and faux news channel, you wouldn't actually know your history. You wouldn't actually know what went down. Now, to be fair, Fellows did go on to concede, and that's how he put it, that white people as a whole don't have it worse than Black people in the 1950s. But then he continued to whine about the conditions in jail and the, quote, selective hateful Democrats. So that should be another fun trial to watch, right? But there's no word yet when his trial is actually going to take place. It hasn't been scheduled. Anyway, guys, I'll let you know when I hear more. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.